Good Tuesday to you, everybody in Gov 603. Welcome to week. Are you ready for it? Kaboom! Number 8. We are now officially halfway through the semester. Good job. All right, hang in there. You're doing great. Let me finish the last of my coffee. Isn't that a sweet little cup? What's it got? Like birds. This was a wedding present. From some close friends to my wife and I. In fact, we got a whole set of them. And I think, after like 30 years of marriage, there's only so much you can expect from a cup. So I think we broke some of them. But anyway, how's everybody doing? You hanging in there? You doing okay? All right. Let's talk about this week because we've got some important concepts coming up. And this is going to restructure, what you're going to be doing from this point forward in the semester. Okay. So for this week, week 8, this class is sort of, we spent a lot of time with foundational terminology and what's empirical research and what's a hypothesis. But we haven't thus far done much in the way of the actual research. From this point forward, we're going to be spending more time with that. So this week, week 8, I'm going to introduce you to the definition and the operation of two, very common statistical tests that are found in research, and they're frequently used in political science. And that is the t-test and the ANOVA. And that's an acronym, ANOVA, and that stands for analysis of variance. Okay. I want you to watch the videos that I have posted for this week, and they're going to explain a t-test and an ANOVA to you, but I'll give you a definition of both. Okay. One of the things that's hard to predict in political science is we'll see, like, we'll take this presidential election as a for instance. Okay. You can go out and take a poll and ask people, say on average, and this is done all the time with certain categories: trustability, likability, confidence that they'll get the economy moving in the right direction, that they're up on border security, international affairs. You pick a category, and you go out and you survey a bunch of people, and you say, let's just use likability. And they say on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being absolutely horrible and 10 being super califragilistic, love them, tell us how likable you think this candidate is, let's say Vice President Kamala Harris, or this candidate is former President Donald Trump. And then they get all of these scores. Okay. And then they look at the data and they go, whoa, look at this. On average, and I don't know if this is the data, okay, because it would depend on the region. I'm just going to make this up. On average, Kamala Harris is more likable in our poll than Donald Trump. Okay. Who was in the poll? Who did you ask? Did you happen to ask a number of people who, had declared that they would vote for the one as opposed to the other? Were you in a specific demographical region, a region dominated by a demographic rather that, like Kamala Harris's hometown? When you ask these questions, you have these averages. This many people, they give likability and average. And again, I'm just making these numbers up. An average likable score on 1 to 10 to Kamala Harris of 8, and an average likable score to Donald Trump of 6, right? Are those averages statistically significant? In other words, is there any influence on the data that is driving the outcome rather than just what the average group of people might think? A t-test tests whether there is a statistically significant difference between two averages. That's it. It can't tell you why there's a difference. Okay. And it can't even tell you necessarily, you know, what drove the difference. What's the problem in the data? What it can do is tell you if there is a statistically significant difference. Most of the time when t-tests are run on data, say for surveys, what researchers are looking for is no, there is not a statistically significant difference in the averages of these two. And then they can rely on the average to say, yep, that's a reliable poll. Yep, that's a reliable poll. Okay, that's what a t-test is. All right, and you'll see that demonstrated in the video. Okay. Secondly, an ANOVA is like a t-test, but it goes one step further. All right. An ANOVA analysis of variance. And what they mean by variance is the difference on average of this compared to this. All right. So a t-test will tell you that there is or there is not a statistically significant difference between the two. The difference is called the variance. An ANOVA will tell you what is causing the variance. So an ANOVA takes a t-test one step further, and it moves you from just saying there's a difference to some data that lets you speculate on the cause of the difference. So if you get into political science and political research and political statistics, you really need to know what a t-test is and what an ANOVA is, and how to run a t-test and how to run an ANOVA and how to read the data. Okay, so that's what we're going to be learning. Now, coming in a week very soon, I'm going to be giving you data and starting and allowing you to do certain types of ANOVAs and allowing you to say, oh, okay, based on the data, we can say that there's a significant difference here, and the outcome is driven by this factor and not by this factor. Okay, we're going to get into causal relationships. All right, now if that still seems a little confusing, watch the video, okay, and then we'll take it from there, and we'll address it next week in our review. Okay. Also, please to remember, all right, that you have a midterm examination that is coming up on October 15th to 16th. So today is the 8th, 16th, and 15th. That's next week. Remember, I've said like a dozen times in these past videos, the way that you prepare is you go back and you read through the discussion questions, and you know the terms, you know how to define them, and you know how to explain them if you are asked. All right. This week, I'm doing a couple of things. I am continuing to grade your papers, your part ones. And remember, you know how this works. If you score higher on the final paper, I'll raise your score up. If you score lower on the final paper, I won't lower your score down. And if you get a little note from me on your paper saying, hey, let's talk, we need to talk. Or you're not in trouble, I'm here to help you. But in addition to your papers, starting this week and bleeding into next week, I will be grading discussion questions weeks 1 through 7. If there's any week in which you're missing, you know, maybe you didn't answer all the questions, maybe you didn't respond to all the classmates, this is your last chance to fill that in. I can't tell you you're going to get full credit, because you're not if you're really, really late. Because look, if you jump into a discussion of a question 3 weeks late, you're not having a discussion. You're doing a monologue. I mean, let's just be honest. All right. But I will allow you to go, oh, let me make sure that I got all those. And if you didn't, because if you're missing one, you're going to get 0 points. So fill that in. I'm pretty, you know, open and flexible about what you get points for. In fact, I stay out of the visibly, I stay out of the discussions while you're having them. I have had off canvas, you know, discussions with people when I think it's necessary. And that's only when I say, you know, when I say, hey, you know, relax, or maybe you'll be offended by what so-and-so said. Otherwise, all right, I'm here to listen to what you have to say. Okay. With that in mind, let's take a look at the questions from last week, week 7. According to Pauner, what is an analytical narrative? Robin, you went first and you said Pauner's definition did not help me much, and then you went somewhere else. Okay, fair enough. Karina, let's see what you had to say. An analytical narrative is an approach to a social science research, is an approach that social science researchers use to explain complex social and political subjects by using structured narrative that uses qualitative data, historical context, and casual analysis. So, for example, Karina gives us hypothesis. The use of artificial intelligence and machine learning, AI and ML, in cybersecurity helps to identify and respond to potential threats. Okay, not necessarily a hypothesis in the fullest sense, but we're going to roll with it. Analytical narrative. Analyze the different aspects of cybersecurity and how AI and ML have improved to help in threat detection and response will show a positive impact that both AI and ML have had on cybersecurity results. To get these results, I dove into multiple articles and publications containing information from some of the leading minds in cybersecurity. The overall came to the same conclusion that cybersecurity is an aspect of today's world that has become extremely important to everyone on a day-to-day basis. Since the beginning, cybersecurity has had an ever evolving system, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so in other words, okay, an analytical narrative is it's almost as it exactly sounds. You do a qualitative research approach. That is, you take a look, and qualitative can mean you do word clusters. So you can look at all these articles on AI learning, and machine learning, and these research papers with good, solid methodologies and data. And you could say, the emerging consensus among X amount of percentage of the people that are doing that is that AI and ML are impactful and important because why? And then you describe that to your reader in an analytical way. That, I mean, almost literally as it sounds, that's an analytical narrative. Okay. And it's commonly used in political science. And part of it is because, you know, like the weather or like why did Van Gogh lop off his ear, human behavior is complicated and it's often difficult to reduce to just this one factor or just that one factor. So an analytical narrative allows you to discuss, well, we surveyed a bunch of research and we found that these are the major factors, but there are these other factors over here that seem to be of importance. And, you know, we cannot put our finger on this one single thing like, God, that's it right there. And that's okay. All right. Analytical narrative. All right. If you have any questions about that, please email me. Question number 2. Consider the 3-part process power I listed at the end of chapter 5 for writing your methodology section. Using your methodology section, write up your research proposal. Answer the 3 points really that Powner notes should be asked of a methodology. Okay. You know, this is one that I'm not going to go through your answers for because this is something that you know, be aware of what the text is. And for a midterm exam, a question from this would be, you know, which of the following is or is not Powner's 3-part process for writing a methodology section. So I'm expecting you to know what it is. Okay, you're not going to be asked on a test to apply it to your methodology section. All right, question number 3. Go to page 141, thinking like a political scientist. This is in Howard. Find the exercise, practice building, answer one of the questions. Okay. Alicia, we'll take you. You said stratified random sampling would definitely be best fit for a project about the attitudes towards local school performance. Yeah, I think that's accurate enough because, you know, you're going to want, I mean, kids are going to have an important opinion, but that's going to be different than, say, parents, than, say, you know, of the kids in the school, than, say, community members who don't have kids, but see the kids coming and going. All right. I'm not going to go into this question too much either. This sort of stuff I probably would not draw on to construct your final. Okay. Same thing for question number 4. Go to page 140. Howard, thinking like political science, find the exercise, practice, inspecting, answer the questions in the exercise using only one of the listed readings. Okay. In the article, let's see, Alyssa, you went first again here. Let's take a look at you. Polarizing political communications, oppositional media hostility, and selective exposure. The participants were a random sample of college students and adults in California. They surveyed the sample of adults after their initial study with the college students to demonstrate reciprocity, replication. You know, how can the study be replicated? Extremely important. They said we include in this replication to demonstrate is it we include or we conclude or we intend? What if that's a typo? Anyway, to demonstrate the generality of the phenomenon identified in study 1, both with regards to stimuli and the population underlying the subject pool. Okay, the odds of selection of cases replications helped the external validity and internal validity of the project by diversifying the ideologies, ages, genders, represented in the different phases of the study. Okay, very good. Okay, very, very good. And so questions about external validity and what is it and how do you get it and best test it, those you'd be expected to know. Okay, everybody. All right, so for this week, important that you wrap your head around the concept. And yes, in case you're wondering, material from week 8 is fair game for the midterm because the midterm's not until next week. Okay, so I'll be wrapping up grading of your discussion questions and your papers. Again, if you have any questions and you want to talk to me, I guess what do we do like this now? Nobody has a phone like that. Okay, text me and I'm here during my office hours. Okay, everybody, have a wonderful, wonderful week. I think about you, I pray about you, and I will see you on Canvas. Bye-bye.